Today I'm going to talk about hate. With the number of hate crimes rising at an alarming rate all across the world, it has become the duty of every human brotherhood to stand together and reject this hate. Rejecting hate not only provides us a safe space for everyone, but also empowers oneself. As we hear more and more about such instances of hate, we need to band together and strengthen the human fabric that connect us to each other. Our world seems to have become overfilled with the concept that we disliked each other. Racism, sexism, misogyny, fascism, these have become everyday words in the 21st century. Is that really true? Are we so different from one another that we are unable to bear the sight of our fellow men and women? What in our mind leads us to hate someone? And what can we do to reject this hate, both internally and from external sources? Let's answer some of these important questions. Hate comes to us in the simplest of forms, and that is why it usually wins. We are taught from a very small age to differentiate the people around us based on their race, gender, looks, possessions, etc. This builds a deep seated hatred within us that we don't usually recognize unless we act upon it. It not only tears us away from the human fabric, but also makes us accept the victimization of others without question. The recent wave of attacks in Sri Lanka is a prime example of the destructive power that hate can hold. The death toll in Sri Lanka is a grim reminder that we still need to protect our brothers and sisters. And this did come true following the attacks, as non Christians serve as a human wall to protect the Christians during their prayers. The idea that someone else is responsible for my problems is one of the easiest ways to escape the reality in any situation. In recent years, this blame has largely been placed on the minority communities. Hatred towards people of minority races and genders are now at an all-time high. And these feelings and instances of hate are not at all limited to any particular country or society. What then can we as individuals and a society do to fight this hate? Well, if we look at the course of human history, we will see that the biggest weapon humans have used against hate is the feeling of social bonding and a deep sense of love for one another. Be it during the Great Wars or during attacks by terrorist organizations, humans have shown great resilience towards social hate. They have stood by the victims and created institutions that will provide the necessary love and support. The recent terrorist activity in the two mosques of New Zealand was one such instance where we saw how people can come together and reject hate. Right from every individual to the topmost politicians of New Zealand chose to mourn the victims and stand beside their fellow citizens without differentiating them on the basis of their religion or ethnicity. In a show of solidarity, the common citizens even guarded the Friday prayer for the Muslim community, who were the primary victims of the attack. And this is the one true weapon that can trump hate: the ability to not look at someone with a different eye. While our mass culture may not allow for this ability to develop, it is well within us, since it is nothing more than a mere mindset. And this mindset is strengthened when we choose to freely interact with the minority members of their community. Give to them what is possible and rejecting the hate that they face. Lastly, we need to understand our privilege, and only then can we fight back hate. If we allow our privileges to form the majority of our identity, we will always allow hate to win. A person who is internally racist will always allow an act of racism to go unchecked in front of them. And a person who has rejected hate will always stop such an act. This is why leaving our privilege behind and embracing love for all is the only way to truly reject hate. In order to fight hate, we need to do it on two levels. Firstly, we need to remove it internally and ensure that the hateful ideas perpetuated by society have been removed from our minds. And secondly, we need to stand by the communities that are victims of these hateful acts. Only in standing with them in spirit and form can we find the power within us to reject hate and also be able to spread the message through our actions. As the great MLK Jr. once said, darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that.